You're listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen. And now, here's your host, Coach Roel.
Hey, Coach Roel here. Really excited for our interview today. I'd like to welcome Elliot Mould. How are you, Elliot?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Coach?
Very well, thanks. So Elliot is currently in Ottawa right now. However, there's quite a lot that has happened since last time we spoke, and I'm really excited to catch up with Elliot. So it's been about almost a year and a half, I think, since last we spoke, and we were messaging a little bit. And so I'm really curious, how's life right now? What's top of mind for you?
Life right now is very busy, but it's good busy. We are just sort of in transition. I'm actually doing this from my son's room because our office and everything else is quite hectic. We're packing up to go down to our Florida home that we go to every year. We're a little late getting there this year. We've got a lot of family stuff happening, which is great. We've been very busy with business and everything, so we're a little later than normal. But so we're busy doing that. We're excited because we know that once we hit the road and we get down there, we can start enjoying that sunshine. And it's always a nice thing for us to do every year when we go. This year is a little bit different because Erin just recently was able to finally pay back the time to the government that she owed for her maternity leave. And now she is free and clear of the burdens of a 9-to-5 job. That makes two of us. So yeah, it definitely has a different feeling this year than in past years, because this is what we've been talking about for a long time. We've been to Florida for the winter before. We have not done it both. I guess self-employed we are now, both of us, or whatever that is going to look like. We have some plans, but yeah, so it's got a different feel to it this year.
That's amazing. Congratulations, and congratulations to Erin.
Yeah, I when I told her, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, like, this has got to be what we need to work towards. And at the time, we were like, is this for real? Are we going to give up the benefits? Are we going to give up the pension? Are we going to do all those things? And it was a nice thought, but to have it actually have happened is pretty neat. So.
Mm-hmm. So what's over the last year and a half, what are some of the moves, I guess, that you made that really helped you get there to where you are now?
So I think, we originally wanted, we'd all talk about that Florida lifestyle and the fun in the sun and being able to do what we want with our time. And I think that starting to look into that, it wasn't just fun in the sun for me. It was fun south of the border. And that wasn't necessarily far south of the border. It could be anywhere in the U.S. And with our, what we learned at the beginning for investing in Florida, we realized, wait a second, it doesn't have to just be Florida. So we didn't limit ourselves, and we took on a whole new sort of aspect to our business. We've typically always invested in Ontario. We've got some secondary markets that we're close to here, that we have large projects always on the go. But then we're like, wait a second, we can really move a lot faster in our lives if we take advantage of the opportunity in the U.S. So that's really what we doubled down on. We started with, the hope was to be into larger multifamilies. And that was always our goal. But then we also realized, wait a second, the passive income is really not going to change our life tomorrow or in a year and a half necessarily. That's the long game. And what we realize is that if we want to make some changes now, we need more active and a more active approach. And we've been flipping houses, and we've been doing it strategically, and we've got teams in place. And, we have realistic expectations. We'd rather have a quick sale, make an okay amount of money on the return, and then keep moving on and doing it again and keeping the people employed. So we've got some areas now where we set up some satellite areas, and we have crews working there only on our work, on our flip. So we've got these teams set up that work solely for us. And it's just really become a well-oiled machine that we can just sort of keep an eye on from a distance and enjoy being involved at a distance. And so those are the in terms of moves we've made, I think those are the biggest moves we made to allow us the freedom to do what we're doing now. And now, I mean, we're at the point now where we're going down to Florida, and we're no longer staying in our short-term rental house. This is a house that's just ours. We don't share it with anybody else. So we know that right when we get down there, the girls can walk into the rooms. They've got stuff there already that's theirs. They're bringing more down because now it's the first time where it's like, hey, this is no other kids staying in your room ever again. So that's a really nice feeling. And also, for the first time, I've got a classic car down there in the garage. It's not in the garage right now. I have to go pick it up and bring it to this house. But so I said to myself, I don't want to waste any time down there looking for one. So I arranged to purchase one in advance. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think there'll be too many surprises. So so there's a lot to look forward to this time around. So business moves and also personal lifestyle moves as well. The goal of not sharing our Florida home with anybody else was a big one, and it's representative of the success we've been having, where we don't need that rental income to cover it. We can just cover it on our own. So
it's an expense. It's a luxury. It's yours.
It is, and it's absolutely, and that's a nice feeling to know that we can just go down there anytime we want. Doesn't matter what our vacancy is when we're not there, or how good the property management company is doing renting it out on Airbnb. It's just not to have to think about that stuff is so nice. That's worth the expense for sure. So
cool. Can you describe it in more detail? Like what does it look like? Is it like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Is it 5-bedroom? Like, do you have a pool in the back? Like, help me visualize.
You know what? Interestingly enough, way back when, a couple of years ago, probably now since the beginning, when you and I first interacted, we did a vision board, and I had this vision of my girls and my son, when he's able to come down, jumping into a pool, and the pool Hazel and I, and the house from the front. I always said I want to have 3-car garage. So 3-car garage for me was super important. I've always wanted to have one in Canada, and it's a little bit more difficult. You got to move like outside the city, which we didn't want to do. So I've got a 3-car garage. Everybody's got their own room. So we've got 4 full-time bedrooms, and we've got a 5th room that's kind of like a guest flex space. And I also have an office, which is really neat. So it's your typical stucco concrete block house that's it's got a lot of open space, and our bedroom is separate from all the other bedrooms, which is nice. It's a typical Florida house that way too. Not all bedrooms all at one end of the house like we have in Canada, or all on one floor. And we elected to go just with a really large 1-story house, but high ceilings, and I like not having to climb the stairs. I'm only 42, but sometimes when you wake up in the morning and I will say this, as great as things are, we still have children who wake up in the morning crying. So it's nice to be able to go and get them to start the day and not have to walk down the stairs with my aching ankles and knees. So I just walk right into the kitchen and start our day that way, which sounds like a funny small thing, but those are things that I notice in the morning and the difference, right? So those are great. And so the house is nice. We were able to also put our touches on it as well before moving in, and this is the first time we're going down there where the house is like done the way we wanted it to do. So we've made some extra changes over the year, and since we were down there last, and it's perfect. So that's we're excited about that. Excellent.
So you're driving down soon, and then so this winter season, with all that stuff, like how are you? What's like the next big thing for you in terms of enjoyment? Like so much has happened already in the past year. So when you head down, are you guys going to also do like road trips? Once you're down here, you're going to travel to other states. What's the plan for you guys? How are you're going to keep your family busy the next couple of months?
Well, like I said, it's the first time that we are going down there with clear heads. So in the past, Aaron has had to work from a distance, so we've had to do that, and I've also had to work from a distance. I'm still working as a realtor, but now everyone talks about systems and having things put in place so that your business can operate without you having to be involved, and you can take that time. For the first time, we have those systems in place. Now they might need some refinement, but we're there. So this is our first opportunity to really go and make the most of our time away. We have a lot of there's so many things happening within the state of Florida on its own that we haven't tapped into in the past. So we haven't been to all the theme parks in Orlando, which we're going to do more of. And we would like to start traveling and just spending some quality family time together. With more of a free schedule. The girls are not quite, they'll be starting school next year, so it's our last year to be able to do that. And and tour around. So Route 66, I'm an old car guy. Route 66, I know it's changed a lot from what it was before COVID, and a lot of the different areas along the way have maybe gone out of business, so it's not quite the same vibe, but I think it's regardless still an experience that we are going to enjoy. Hopefully, we'll see how it is. The drive down to Florida is going to be enough of a drive, so Route 66 will have to take a lot of breaks to make sure that our girls don't get too upset. And I think also too, traveling to other states just to be able to be tourists, and at the same time though, make it so that it's states where we currently don't have any business going on, and maybe it be more of an exploratory visit as well to see about expanding business to those areas. Because as we know, if I'm able to go look at some potential investment properties, what that makes that trip, right? So that trip becomes a business trip, and we love business trips. So.
Yeah, that's great. On that note too, what's one or two markets that have been really good for you? You were talking about you've been doing some fix and flips down in the US. Which ones have worked out for you the best so far?
I would say the one that's done the best, that was surprising that I hadn't even thought about, is our work in Philadelphia. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so it actually kind of worked out pretty neat. But I never considered it till I met some people that they had a sort of like a team set up there, and I leveraged that team, and it's been great. But I've just kept going back to the same watering hole. They have a lot of the city that's being turned over, and areas that were rough before are now being gentrified, and there's a lot of young professionals and moving into these modern townhouses that we're renovating back to the studs, and it's the typical townhouse you'd see like in the Rocky movies, right? When he's out training and running in the morning and he's running down the road, it's just like that. The houses are right up against the sidewalk. People park their cars on the sidewalk. But then, when we first went there, every sixth or seventh house in some of these neighborhoods looked all renovated, right? And then as the time goes by, now half of them are renovated. Now 3/4 of them are renovated. So yeah, I mean, there's still opportunity there, and even though we've been doing it for a couple of years now, and we've been enjoying it, and we get really great returns, and it's just the same thing. It's the same product, same project, same people, and we just keep repeating it. So it's been great with the returns, and I mean, also I don't know if it's been as the returns have not been as great, but another steady one has been our flips that we do in Florida. For me, ever since I started getting exposed to Florida houses, I've really appreciated the simplicity of a block home on a slab. And there's, you can really have, for our projects there, we can just look at the photos and we have a pretty good idea of what the reno cost is going to be, because it's almost the same for every house, give or take, $5,000 or $10,000. We're doing the same things, and like I said, working with the same people. So I think simplicity is the name of the game for what we've been doing. But those are the two areas I think that have been strongest. I like the Florida ones because I can go and visit the properties while we're down there in the winter. I'm not typically spending a lot of time in Philadelphia, but over the winter, it's nice to be able to go for drives for a couple hours to a city where we have some ongoing flips, and we take the kids, they get to see it, and we spend some time, and it's a little family getaway too. So we're looking forward to doing a bunch of those as soon after we get down there this year. So.
That's great. And are you doing this all with your own money, or you have investors alongside with you, investing with you?
So we started off with our own money, and we really believe in, first of all, having skin in the game. But I also really felt that if I want to ever speak to someone else about doing this thing, I want to have done it already, because I like being able to speak to it, and I like being able to tell someone, hey, I did it with my own money. Like, I thought it was good enough. So that's why I did this, and be able to show that, like, the proof's in the pudding, right? So that's just the way we've always operated, is that we would rather go through the process a few times before we speak really to anybody else about maybe getting involved. And we've done financing. So there's great financing available in the US. And, at first as a new investor or a Canadian just breaking into the American market, the financing is available. It's a little not quite as easy and not quite as good. You might have to put a little bit more money down, pay a little bit higher rates, but it's still available. So we've been doing that, and as time went by, after our first three, I think it was, the financing became almost, sometimes we could get 100% financed. So financing is one of the things we've been using. But yeah, I mean, we've had people reach out, whether it first started off with family, and it was like, hey, you know what, this is going so well, I wouldn't mind, I want to help a family member, get a similar return to help them with whatever it is they want to do with that money. So we started bringing on friends and family like that. And then, it was people that I was really close to at first, and other people who are more like, hey, we've known each other for 10 years or went to high school together, and we get chatting about what's going on, and then they've got involved as well. So yeah, it's without looking for it, it came after, just passively showing our progress online. People are like, hey, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And every time I go down there and I take videos of being in Florida, everyone's like, hey, how much money do you need? What are you doing down there? And for a while, I was like, oh, wow. And I was very nonchalant about it. And I didn't want to say too much because we weren't really ready. But now it's like, yeah, this is exactly what we're doing. This is what we've done. So we can actually say we've done it. And then they're like, oh, awesome. Like, can I do something with you? And that's just the way it's been. And it's happened very organically, I guess. It hasn't been forced. We figure if it's, if it's only if the only way we can do it is with our own money, then we'll make it happen with our own money. If other people want to come in and be a part of it, then we'll do that too. But I never wanted to depend on other people's investments, because then you get to what they call like the equivalent to commission breath. And, we never want to be running around and knowing that, oh, unless I get some money off somebody, I can't do my next deal. That's not how we've ever operated. And we want to keep everybody easy breezy and enjoying the experience. So yeah, so we've done it. We've done quite a few deals now with investors, people that we know back home, and they've been great experiences. So it's been very rewarding, and for us, and we've enjoyed it. And I think that our investors, based on what they've told me, they've enjoyed the experience as well.
So that's pretty awesome. Well, one of the last questions, if not the last question, I'll pose to you is put you a little bit on the spot. But what would you say to someone who's like listening to this, or they're like, oh, I didn't know Elliot was doing that. I've known this guy from, that guy's doing it. If he can do it, I can do it. But what would you say to somebody who's like, well, I don't know if I necessarily want to be in the thick of things and doing the renovations and finding the stuff, and maybe I should reach out to this Elliot guy and say what's up. And what would you say to that person in terms of how they can approach you? Or, I know you're a pretty open guy, so I want to give you that platform to be able to send that. What's a word of advice that you can give to somebody who's potentially in a similar place as you were about a year and a half ago? They don't necessarily want to get their hands dirty, but maybe they want to invest alongside with you. What would you say to that person?
Well, like you said, I'm very open, and I try to be very very transparent, and what you see is what you get. I'm also very simple. So I really like, I'm kind of old school in a lot. I mean, I like old cars. I like old houses in Canada and in the US. So I am a very old school. So honestly, if somebody ever wants to reach out, feel free to connect with me. You can add me on Facebook, Elliot Mould, ELLIOT MOULD. There's not too many other Elliot Mould, so you'll probably find me if you got the spelling right pretty quickly. It's very simple. Just send me a message over Facebook. You can also reach me at ElliotMould@keyworthproperties.ca. So first name, last name, all one word, keyworthproperties.ca. And just have a chat. Here's the thing, like, a lot of people say, oh my God, like you seem like you're so passionate. And you know what? Yeah, I've always been passionate about real estate, but now that we're in a point where like the pressure's off, like I finally feel like, I don't want to, it sounds kind of corny, but we've arrived. We're in a nice place now where we're not kicking back and not doing anything. We're just really able to just pursue our passion for real estate and for creating something for our family. And I'm super excited to talk about that with other people. Before, my conversations with people were more in a situation where it was a potential client. And it was, that client was a means, to I work with the client, help them. And that's how I would support my family, right? Whereas now, if somebody wants to reach out to chat about real estate, I'm more than happy to, especially if they're, if their motivation is there and they just sort of need some questions answered or some dots connected. I'm more than happy to discuss that. And that's the thing. Not everybody has a passion for real estate, and some people just have a passion for creating something for their family for the future. And that's cool. And I mean, one of the ways to do that is through real estate. Not everyone has to share the same excitement for real estate as I do, to be able to get involved in something like this. And we can certainly see what ways there may be out there for us to work together and or not even work together, just to ask some questions because they're interested and they're curious. I'm totally fine with that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be some sort of situation where it's an intro to potential partnership. It could just be like hey, really cool, man, what are you up to, and talk about it, and talk about cars too.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. So I think that's good for our time right now, for this part of our interview, at least. And so I really thank you and appreciate the fact that you took the time out to share that and give us that update. So really cool. What I'd like
Absolutely,
to do now is... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's nice to be able to have this call. We talked about it, a year and a half ago, and to be able to sit here having the conversation. It's nice to get that opportunity to come sort of full circle, right? So.
Yeah, awesome. So you guys who are listening or watching this, you've got his contact info. If anything else, leave a comment on the page that you're seeing this if you missed that. But once again, I'd like to thank Elliot Mould. If this is actually part one of our two-part Act As If interviews. So if you like this, make sure to catch part two of our interview with Elliot Mould. We'll unpack this whole experience. So once again, thanks, Elliot, for sharing this part of your journey.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen.